So here we have basically all of the relevant Streamlight models and a high-performance reference light, if you will. Starting off with some of the more basic models introduction, these are my very old Streamlight rail mount HLXs. These are 1000 lumens, 27,000 candela. Pretty darn good. For $100 they come with a tail switch and a push button tail switch, but just one or the other. This one has the new jack cap, which we'll get into a little bit later on. The main focus of this video is going to be on the ProTac Rail Mount HLX Pro. That name is horrific, but this is a 1000 lumen light with 50,000 candela, so just a much more focused beam than what you're going to get on the older HLX. This is the Streamlight ProTac 2.0 Rail Mount. Again, another horrific name. This is a humongous chonky boy. This is the highest lumen light here. This is 2000 lumens. But only 17,000 candela, so essentially you get a wall of light with no hotspot. And for reference, another high-performance light, this is the full-size HRT AWLS, or the ALS. This is 1750 lumens, very high lumen output, but it also has 97,500 candela. So at least on paper, this is the best of both worlds, though in some scenarios, this Rail Mount Pro, for about 1/3 the price, punches above its weight class. Now, in terms of size, if you're familiar with the old HLX, the new HLX Pro basically has the exact same form factor, very similar weight. It does come stock with the dual tail cap, which is awesome. So you get your push button, which of course has your light, and then you have your plug. Now, in terms of switch options, you do have the Streamlight switches, which are very basic. I think I have a couple of those laying around here. I also have their dual lead version as well, and they work perfectly fine. It also comes with a M-lock offset and some mounting options. I use different bands and whatnot for cable management, of course, stock with the Picatinny mount. Now, the old HLX models either came with one or the other. You either got the tail switch or the push button, and the only thing that I've actually killed off of my two original HLXs, which as of this point in time, these probably have tens of thousands of rounds on them, and a couple, 3, 4, 5 years at this point that I've used them, and the only thing that I've killed is this tape switch. This is a dead tape switch. And of course, if your tape switch goes down, with the new jack cap, or of course on the HLX Pro, you do have a backup switch built into the tail cap, which is quite nice. But as far as the features go, this is about anywhere from $100 to $150. You can get it with different versions of the tail switches or mounts or whatnot, so price is going to vary a little bit. And on paper, it is a very balanced light output. You still get 1000 lumens, great. 50,000 candela, also great. Doesn't necessarily compete with some of the truly high performance lights on paper, but it's also anywhere from 50 to 60% cheaper. But the real question is how these lights actually perform. Now, these three lights take 18650. The ProTac 2.0, this chonky boy, this is the biggest and heaviest light. This has its own custom cell on the inside that has built-in USB-C charging, so you do not need to take it off of your rifle to charge it, which is kind of nice. All of these were tested with cleaned lenses and fully charged batteries. Again, 18650s or the BSL 26 that's in the Streamlights, and then a fully charged 18650 or whatever the cell that came with the HRT AWLS is. Fully charged lights, cleaned lenses, same gun, same time, all that sort of fun stuff. Starting off at the bottom of the list, we probably actually have the HLX or the ProTac 2.0. Again, the highest light output, but at the farther targets, say the 120-yard target, you get very little detail on target, and it's very washed out because, again, you do not get a very hot spot. You get a lot of spill up close, and the throw just isn't that good. Now, what is nice about that, in certain scenarios, if you're pointed at one target, you do get a very wide swath around it, so you can see, say, a target off to the left about 20 yards or a target off to the right about 20 yards. You get a wider field of information, but what you're getting in the center where you're actually aiming is worse. So for a rifle scenario where you might be shooting out to 100 yards and you want the best information on what you're actually looking at, I think the ProTac 2.0 comes in last place. And it's also the biggest and heaviest. Now, the old HLX, again, 1000 lumens, about 27,000 candela. Decent hotspot, definitely punches out to about 100 yards, but it just doesn't quite have the same level of hotspot that we're going to get in the next two lights. Now, on paper, the HRT AWLS should absolutely crush the Pro because it has about twice the candela. However, when it actually came to using them side by side, they performed very similarly, and I'm not sure if that's just having to do with the circumstances that I put them in. Again, they were on the exact same gun at the exact same time, but they performed very, very close to each other out to about 120 yards in semi-complete darkness. Now, when we move on to our next test, which is with a photonic barrier, so basically staring at my car's headlights, at about 20 yards, let's say, you did get decent information with all of the lights. You do get a good amount of information. You can cut through the beams with the ProTac 2.0, better with the HLX, and then much, much better with the ProTac Pro or the HLX Pro and the HRT. Now, when we back that up even further and we go against high beams, so about 50 yards against a minivan high beams, the HLX and the ProTac 2.0 are kind of worthless, and the HRT, I'm not sure if it just has to do with the tone of the light, but it was definitely usable, but not quite as good as what I was getting from the HLX Pro. And again, I'm not sure if that just happens to be the tone of the minivan headlights versus the tone of this light, because this is a little bit wider and the HRT is a little bit more tan, let's say. But the HLX or the HLX Pro did cut through a little bit better through high beams at about 50 yards. I was still getting good information on whatever would happen to be in the driver's seat of that vehicle.
Old HLX, pretty darn bad. I can barely make out the outline of the white target. 2.0, nothing with the 2.0 at all. Does not have the punch at this distance against headlights. HRT, I guess the HRT you can see a little bit, so it's not too bad, but definitely the best is the Pro. HRT, Pro. HRT, Pro.
So overall, I still like the HRT ALS, but when compared with something smaller, lighter, cheaper, with better aftermarket support as well, or not even aftermarket support, it has better support from its manufacturer, to me it's kind of a no-brainer that the HLX Pro is currently, hands down, no questions asked, the best budget light on the market. Now, again, I don't have any relationship with Streamlight. They didn't send me anything. I buy all of their products from a third-party distributor at distributor pricing. So, while I don't pay full retail price for it, I don't have any relationship with Streamlight whatsoever. They don't know who I am, but they make good budget lights. But yeah, that's about all that I got. If you need a good budget light, Streamlight is the way to go. All of these lights will work up close for like a home defense scenario. However, if you actually want to use something for a rifle application, I think your three main options are going to be the HLX, if you can find it on like a really good deal, maybe $100 or less. Slight price increase, the HLX Pro, again, somewhere between $130, $150, depending on what configuration you get it in. Really, really good performance. And the HRT ALS, at least in this test, that didn't really seem that great, especially considering it's bigger, it's heavier, it's more expensive. So we'll just kind of move that over there. And again, if you do have one of the older HLXs and you want to get a little bit more versatility out of it, go ahead and pick up one of the jack caps, and then you can use one of the new tape switches. Tape switches are pretty cheap. You can get them for $30-$40, somewhere in that range, different mounts and options and so on and so forth. So again, I think these new products from Streamlight are fantastic. The HLX Pro, again, I've said it probably 4 times at this point, but if you're looking for a cheap budget light, it's 100% the way to go, no questions in my mind. So with all that out of the way, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of the Streamlight Rail Mount HLX Pro. Horrific name, but let me know what you think of it. And with all that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. God bless.